Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. When you walk into a home that's been touched by divine hands, you feel it. You don't just see furniture and walls. You feel protection. You feel peace. You feel power. And if you're that chosen woman, don't second guess the stillness around you. That stillness is a signal. That calm is in weakness. It's a warning to the enemy. You can't touch this. There's a reason why certain homes remain standing through every storm, why chaos tries to enter but never stays, why some women sleep peacefully while others battle sleepless nights. If that sounds like you, or if you want to become that kind of woman, watch this speech all the way through, because I'm about to reveal the 10 undeniable signs that angels are guarding your home, and once you know, you'll never look at your life the same again. When you walk into a home protected by divine power, you know it without anyone saying a word. The air feels different. The silence speaks. The peace isn't just a feeling, it's a presence. It's heavy but not burdensome. It's quiet but not empty. It's the kind of peace that calms your spirit the moment you cross the threshold. And here's the thing, it's not something you can fake. It's not something you can decorate into existence. That level of peace doesn't come from scented candles, soft lighting, or expensive furniture. It comes from something much higher. It comes from being chosen. A chosen woman doesn't just live in peace, she carries it. And that peace flows into her home like a river that never dries up. The world outside might be full of noise, the bills might be stacking, the people around her might be falling apart, but inside her home, there's stillness, there's order, there's balance. That is not by accident. That's not just good vibes. That's divine intervention. That's the presence of angels. When angels are stationed around a chosen woman's home, it creates an invisible boundary. Nothing chaotic can stay, nothing toxic can rest. The atmosphere itself rejects trouble. That's why you'll often see chosen women lose relationships that don't align with their peace. It's not because they're rude, it's because the vibration of their home is too high for nonsense to survive. The angels don't just guard the physical space. They guard the energy of that space. They make sure her environment stays clean, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And peace isn't weakness. Don't mistake it for passivity. That peace is powerful. That peace is the evidence of war fought on her behalf. Battles she didn't even have to lift a finger to win. That's what people don't see. They see her calm and think she has it easy, but they don't realize what's surrounding her. They don't see the angels standing at the corners of her home. They don't feel the protection that hovers over her children when they sleep. They don't notice the spiritual lockdown that activates the moment something dark tries to creep in. People often think protection looks like a fight. They think it looks like confrontation, defense, noise. But the highest level of protection doesn't make a sound. It doesn't show up with flashing lights. It shows up in the form of peace that can't be explained. That's how you know a chosen woman is being guarded. Her life doesn't make sense to outsiders. Her peace looks irrational. It looks undeserved. But that's what happens when angels are involved. That's what it means to be covered. Now, some may ask, why her? Why is her home protected? Why is she chosen? Let me tell you, being chosen doesn't mean she's perfect. It doesn't mean she's better than anyone else. It means she's positioned. It means she's aligned. She's walking in purpose, or she's trying to, and heaven responds to that. The protection is not a reward, it's a requirement. Because the work she's doing, the healing she's pursuing, the legacy she's building, it needs a safe place to grow, and angels make sure that ground stays sacred. Her peace is proof of her path. And every time someone walks into her home and feels that shift, every time they sit on her couch and suddenly feel lighter, it's confirmation. It's confirmation that this isn't just a house. This is a stronghold for healing. This is a sanctuary. This is a place where dark thoughts lose their power. This is a home where laughter grows out of pain, where tears are wiped not just by hands, but by unseen forces that whisper, "You're safe here." There's a reason she doesn't need to raise her voice to be heard in her own home. There's a reason her children feel secure even when money is tight. There's a reason arguments don't last long under her roof. Because angels aren't just watching, they're working. They are active. They are engaged. They shift moods. They silence confusion. They block out intentions that are not pure. They don't allow just anyone to dwell in that space. That's why people get uncomfortable and leave on their own. That's why certain friends stop calling. That's why the door closes quietly but permanently on some relationships. Because not everything and not everyone can survive in a protected environment. Not everyone is meant to breathe the air that angels guard. This protection doesn't mean storms won't come. It doesn't mean struggle won't knock at the door. But it does mean the house will still be standing when the wind dies down. It means that even when tears fall, they fall in the safety of love. It means that even when she feels alone, she's never abandoned, because angels don't just visit. They dwell. They camp. They take residence. They're not there for a moment, they're on assignment. So if you've ever wondered why your home feels calm while the world outside is loud, if you've ever noticed that when you pray, things shift in the room, if you've ever felt protected for reasons you can't explain, that's not your imagination. That's the mark of divine protection. That's the sign of a chosen woman whose home has been sealed, guarded, not by locks and alarms, but by the unshakable presence of angels. And that peace, that's not just a comfort. It's a warning to anything that means harm. Not here, not this house, not this woman, because where there is peace, there is power. And where there is purpose, there is protection. And where there is a chosen woman, there are always angels standing guard. There's a quiet strength in a woman who listens to her intuition. She may not shout, she may not argue, she may not always explain herself, but she knows. And when she knows, she moves. She makes decisions that don't make sense to everyone around her. She walks away from situations that look fine on the outside but feel off inside. And when people question her, when they ask why she left, why she said no, why she changed direction, she doesn't always have an answer they'll understand, because her answer came from within. It came from a whisper, a nudge, a warning. It came from the angels assigned to her path. Chosen woman's discernment is one of her greatest forms of protection. She doesn't need to see the whole picture to know something isn't right. She doesn't need the full conversation to sense deception. She can feel when someone's energy shifts. She can feel when a room goes cold. She can feel when someone's intentions are not clean, even if they're smiling in her face. That's not paranoia. That's not overthinking. That's divine insight. That's a shield disguised as a gut feeling. When angels guard a chosen woman, they don't just stand at the door. They move through her spirit. They give her visions. They place thoughts in her heart. They sound alarms in her soul. And she learns through trial and error to trust those signals, to act on them. Because every time she ignored that inner voice in the past, she paid for it. Every time she tried to give someone the benefit of the doubt, when her spirit told her to run, she ended up hurt, drained, or broken. So now she listens. She trusts the unseen. She honors her knowing, even if it costs her the approval of others. This kind of discernment doesn't just happen overnight. It's built in silence. It's refined through hardship. It grows every time she walks through fire and realizes she saw the smoke long before the flames ever touched her. That's what happens when you've been burned a few times. You start paying attention to the scent of trouble. And angels make sure she never stops noticing. This protection shows up in the strangest ways. Sometimes it's a name that pops in her head out of nowhere and she knows she needs to distance herself. Sometimes it's a text message that doesn't sit right. Sometimes it's just a shift in her sleep. She wakes up uneasy. She doesn't know why, but she prays, she cleans her home, she lights a candle, she creates space for clarity. That's the power of discernment, backed by angelic presence. She doesn't need all the answers to take action. She just knows when to move. And more importantly, she knows when to be still. People around her may not understand. They may say she's being dramatic. They may say she's imagining things. But she's learned not to argue with her intuition. She doesn't need to convince anyone else, because time always reveals why she felt what she felt. Time always exposes what her spirit already knew. And that's the most powerful confirmation. When people who doubted her come back later and say, "You were right," but by then she's already moved on, she's already healed, she's already shifted. Her discernment protects her from energy that looks good but drains the soul. It keeps her away from invitations that are dressed in light but born in darkness. It guards her against fake friends, half-hearted lovers, and business deals that smell like opportunity but carry hidden traps. It makes her hard to manipulate, hard to fool, because the angels don't let her stay blind for long. They might let someone in for a moment, just long enough for her to learn, but they will always uncover the truth. Always. And that uncovering? It's rarely dramatic. It's quiet. It happens in thoughts, in dreams, in subtle changes. Suddenly she sees a pattern she didn't notice before. Suddenly she feels tired around someone she used to laugh with. Suddenly her peace starts to shrink in someone's presence. That's the cue, that's the sign. The angels are whispering, "Pay attention, something's off." And she listens. There's something sacred about a woman who knows. A woman who doesn't need proof to protect her spirit. A woman who doesn't wait for betrayal to walk through the front door before she locks it. She senses the shift. She feels the tension. She doesn't wait for things to fall apart before she chooses herself. That's not fear, that's wisdom. That's discernment born of divine alignment. That's a woman who understands that being chosen means being tuned in. And when you're tuned in, you're never caught off guard. That's why her life may look quiet, but it's not empty. It's selective. That's why her circle is small, but strong. That's why she may say no often, but every yes she gives is powerful, purposeful, and protected. Because she doesn't move based on pressure. She moves based on peace. She moves when the angels say move. So if you ever feel a strong nudge to cut someone off, if you ever walk into a space and feel your spirit tighten, if you ever lose interest in someone you used to love with no logical reason, don't ignore it. That's not random. That's not just a feeling. That's divine protection trying to keep you ahead of the storm. Because when angels guard a chosen woman, they don't just protect her from what's outside. They protect her from what she can't yet see. And the more she listens, the more powerful she becomes. There's something powerful about peace that doesn't make sense, the kind of peace that shows up when everything around you should be falling apart. That unexplainable stillness that surrounds a chosen woman's home is not the absence of problems, it's the presence of protection. It's not that the storm didn't come, it's that the storm came, raged, screamed, and broke everything around her. But somehow, her home stood still. Her heart remained calm. Her spirit didn't collapse. That's not luck. That's divine order. When angels guard a chosen woman's home, there is a different atmosphere in that space. You can feel it the moment you walk in. The world might be spinning, people might be losing control, but inside her walls there's a calmness that doesn't move. Her home becomes a sanctuary, not because of the decor, not because of the location, but because of the spirit that fills the place. The energy is different. The atmosphere is heavy with grace. Light doesn't just come through the windows. It lives in the walls. You can sense the presence of something greater, watching over every room, every corner, every child, every soul that enters. It's not that she doesn't face battles, she does. But there's a boundary around her, a force field almost. Problems may knock, but they can't enter. Trouble may shout from the street, but it doesn't get a seat at her table. Her mind might get tired, but it doesn't break. Her heart might ache, but it doesn't harden. Because peace isn't just something she prays for. It's something that's been placed on her life, and the angels guarding her home make sure it stays. Sometimes people wonder how she keeps going, how she still smiles, how she still loves, how she still wakes up and takes care of her family, her business, her spirit. They don't understand what holds her together. But that's the mystery of being chosen. She's covered by something they can't see. And that covering is what gives her the strength to face what others would collapse under. It's what gives her the peace to stay grounded when everything else is trying to pull her apart. You have to understand, peace doesn't just happen. It's a gift. It's a signal that heaven is near. It's a sign that angels are stationed at her doors, keeping chaos out. When she rests, it's not because there's nothing to do. It's because she trusts who's doing the guarding. She's not constantly in defense mode. She doesn't always have to fight. Sometimes her only job is to stay calm and let the angels handle it. There are times when people try to bring mess into her life. Jealousy shows up, drama knocks, gossip tries to get through the cracks, but it dies at the doorstep. It fizzles before it finds fire. Why? Because peace lives here. And anything that doesn't match the frequency of peace cannot survive in her space. The angels won't allow it. That's why some people stop calling. That's why some friends fade. That's why certain energies feel uncomfortable in her presence. It's not personal, it's spiritual. Darkness can't breathe in a space filled with light. That kind of peace, it costs something. It's not free. She had to fight to get it. She had to walk away from chaos to claim it. She had to say no when it was easier to say yes. She had to learn how to protect her energy, her mind, her time. That peace came from choosing healing over bitterness, silence over revenge, boundaries over pleasing. And now that peace is guarded by angels who make sure it's not disturbed. Sometimes she doesn't even realize how protected she is. She just knows that things that should have destroyed her didn't. She looks back at situations that could have shattered her, and all she remembers is the calm that came over her when she should have been screaming. The peace that filled her chest when everything was falling apart. The way she went to sleep at night, not because she had answers, but because she had faith that someone bigger than her was handling it. That's what peace feels like when it's heaven sent. It's not loud, it's not showy, but it's firm, it's consistent, and it doesn't move just because life does. There will always be storms, but a chosen woman's home is covered. The winds may blow, the rain may fall, but the foundation stays strong. Not because of bricks or money or status, but because of presence. The presence of angels who've been assigned to her, who patrol her space, who fight battles she never even sees. That's why some trouble never made it to her door. That's why some harm turned around before it reached her. That's why some enemies couldn't finish what they started. The angels stepped in. The angels held the line. Peace isn't the absence of pain. It's the presence of protection. And when a woman has it, When her home becomes a dwelling of stillness, of light, of divine order, you'll know, you'll feel it, you'll understand that something bigger than her is guarding that space, and that something won't let chaos live there. It won't let fear set up camp. It won't let confusion linger. Because peace isn't just a feeling, it's a declaration, it's a sign, it's proof that the angels haven't left. A chosen woman doesn't walk through life blindly. She has a gift, not one she begged for, not one she even asked to carry, but a divine sensitivity that can't be ignored. She sees beyond what's on the surface. She hears the message behind the words. She feels the shift in the atmosphere before anyone else notices. That's not paranoia, that's spiritual awareness. That's discernment. And when angels are guarding her home, that discernment becomes sharper, stronger, more immediate, because heaven equips her with the tools to protect her peace and her purpose. There are moments when she can look at someone smile and know they mean harm. She doesn't need evidence. She doesn't need gossip. Her spirit just knows. She can walk into a room and sense if something's off. Her skin might not crawl, but her spirit becomes alert. Her heart starts whispering, "Be careful, pay attention, something isn't right." And when she listens to that voice, when she follows that nudge, she avoids traps that were meant to destroy her. This isn't about fear. It's not about walking around suspicious of everyone. It's about being aligned. When angels surround her home, they send quiet warnings. They whisper through her intuition. They give her dreams that speak in symbols. They arrange delays so she doesn't show up at the wrong place at the wrong time. She might get frustrated by the inconvenience in the moment, but later, when the truth comes out, she realizes it was protection, not punishment. That canceled meeting, that missed call, that flat tire, it wasn't random. It was a divine intervention. The world often tries to convince her she's overthinking, that she's too sensitive, but sensitivity is her strength. That sensitivity has saved her life more than once. It's kept her from relationships that would have broken her, jobs that would have drained her, opportunities that looked good but were laced with poison. The angels guarding her don't just fight battles in the physical, they operate in the unseen. And when a woman is chosen, she's not left blind. She's given eyes to see the invisible and ears to hear the truth in silence. Her discernment makes people uncomfortable because she sees what they try to hide. She sees past the performance, past the charm, past the sweet words. She knows when someone is pretending to support her but secretly competing. She knows when a friend smiles in her face but curses her behind closed doors. And she doesn't always confront it because she doesn't have to. Her peace is too precious to argue over what her spirit already confirmed. She distances herself quietly, not to be cruel, but to protect what the angels are trying to preserve. When you're guarded by something divine, you move differently. You don't ignore red flags. You don't keep the wrong people around out of guilt. You don't entertain confusion. You walk in truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's lonely, because the chosen woman understands that peace comes at the cost of comfort. And sometimes protecting your peace means trusting what your spirit saw, even when your eyes want to believe otherwise. There are times when people come into her life with beautiful masks. They speak the right words, they offer kindness, they bring gifts, but the moment she's alone, her spirit wrestles. Something doesn't sit right. Something tells her this ain't it, and she listens. Because by now she's learned every smile isn't safe. Every opportunity isn't a blessing. Every door isn't meant to be opened. And the angels assigned to her make sure she feels the difference. Her discernment is also what keeps her from staying too long in places she's outgrown. She doesn't wait until things collapse. She doesn't stay until she's broken. The moment peace leaves, the moment her spirit starts to dim, she checks in with herself, and often she hears the whisper, "It's time to go," and she obeys. Not because she has all the answers, but because she trusts the voice that has never failed her. Even in motherhood, in relationships, in business, that spiritual awareness speaks. She knows when her child is hurting, even if they don't say a word. She knows when her partner is carrying something heavy. She knows when a deal is off before the contract is even signed. That's not just intelligence. That's insight from the divine. And she honors it. She doesn't ignore her intuition to please others. She doesn't shut her discernment down for convenience, because she understands that her sensitivity is sacred. It's her shield. It's her guide. It's her early warning system. When angels are stationed at a chosen woman's home, they don't just fight demons outside. They awaken the wisdom within. They open her eyes. They tune her ears. They heighten her senses, so even in silence, she knows. Even in stillness, she sees. And that knowing, that spiritual radar is why so much destruction passes by her door but never steps inside. Why so much betrayal gets exposed before it can take root. Why so much harm is redirected before it ever reaches her heart. People may call her mysterious. They may say she's hard to read. That's fine, because she's not living for their understanding. She's living for alignment. And the angels guarding her walk with her every step of the way, whispering, protecting, guiding. And if you ever wonder how she moves through life with such grace, such confidence, such unshakable clarity, it's not just her. It's what's walking with her, what's speaking to her, what's revealing truth before lies can take hold. That's the power of divine discernment. And when a chosen woman embraces it, listens to it, and protects it, there's nothing that can destroy her from the inside, because truth lives in her, and the angels make sure it stays. There is a quiet strength in the stillness of a chosen woman's home. It's not loud, it's not boastful, but it is powerful. One of the clearest signs that angels are guarding her home is the undeniable sense of peace that lives there. The kind of peace that calms storms, softens hearts, and holds her together even when life outside those walls tries to pull her apart. This peace isn't artificial. It isn't created by scented candles or perfect decor. It's sacred, it's spiritual, it's a covering from above. When you walk into her space, you feel it. You don't have to say a word. Your soul feels the shift. The chaos of the world doesn't live there. Arguments don't linger in the walls. Tension doesn't hide in the corners. It's like stepping into a place where time slows down, where your spirit can finally exhale. That peace wasn't bought. It was built through tears, through battles. That kind of atmosphere is only possible when angels are assigned to a place, when divine beings take watch over her doors, her windows, her very breath. This woman knows what it feels like to be surrounded by noise. She's lived through seasons where her home felt more like a battlefield than a refuge. But now, things are different. She doesn't let just anyone in. She guards her space because she understands what it cost to get here. That peace wasn't free. She had to walk away from people who brought drama. She had to end relationships that carried more stress than love. She had to learn how to sit with herself, to pray in silence, to trust the unseen protection that was always around her. And because of that, she doesn't entertain chaos anymore. The moment confusion shows up, she recognizes it. The moment someone brings negativity to her doorstep, she feels the shift. And if her peace starts to tremble, she listens. Her home is her sanctuary. It's her place of restoration. So she doesn't let energy inside that doesn't match the presence already there. Some people think she's being distant. Some think she's too selective. But the truth is, she's just protecting what angels helped her build. That peaceful home isn't quiet because nothing's going wrong. It's quiet because heaven is fighting battles she'll never have to see. It's quiet because angels are walking the perimeter of her life, keeping out what would destroy her. It's quiet because her soul has learned to rest, to trust, to know that even when life gets heavy, she's not alone. And that presence, divine, comforting, constant, is what gives her the strength to rise every day with calm in her spirit and clarity in her mind. She doesn't need validation for that peace. She doesn't advertise it. She doesn't try to prove anything. But when people come around her, they can't help but notice. They open up without meaning to. They cry and don't know why. They sit longer than they planned because her space is different. It's anointed, covered, sacred. And it's not because she's perfect. It's not because she has all the answers. It's because she has made her home a place where angels are welcome, where peace is a priority, and where drama cannot survive. There's no room for chaos in her sanctuary. She doesn't argue in circles. She doesn't hold grudges. She doesn't replay the pain. She might acknowledge the battle, but she doesn't give it a place to live. She blesses her home with intention. She speaks life into her walls. She prays over her children, over her bed, over her front door. And that's why the energy is different. That's why people who bring confusion don't stay long. The atmosphere exposes them. The peace convicts them. The angels make sure anything not sent by heaven doesn't feel comfortable under that roof. Even in moments of weakness, even when she's hurting, even when life shakes her faith, that peace remains. It doesn't always come with answers. It doesn't always remove the pain, but it carries her. It wraps around her like a blanket. It holds her when nothing else can. And that's not just a feeling. That's a sign that divine beings are present, that her home is a territory they've claimed, that no matter what's going on outside, the inside is protected. She doesn't take it for granted. She doesn't just thank the universe. She walks in gratitude daily. She wakes up knowing that if she has nothing else but that peace, she's already rich. She understands that chaos can't create, only destroy, but peace creates clarity. It creates safety. It creates healing. And when angels are involved, peace becomes permanent. It doesn't vanish with bad news. It doesn't run away when life gets rough. It stands its ground. This is how you know a woman is chosen and protected, when her home radiates a peace that cannot be explained, only experienced. It's not just a mood. It's not just her vibe. It's a spiritual frequency. It's a covering. It's divine presence sitting quietly in the corners, hovering over her, keeping her safe while she sleeps. And that's why she moves differently. That's why she speaks softly. That's why she doesn't get caught up in petty drama. She's got angels at her door. She's got peace in her walls. She's got heaven in her home. When angels are guarding a chosen woman's home, something almost mystical begins to unfold. Her discernment sharpens to a supernatural level. She begins to feel what others cannot see. She picks up on energy in a way that seems almost unreal. It's not paranoia, and it's not just intuition. It's divine insight. She knows when someone's smile is hiding a hidden agenda. She can sense when words are saying one thing, but the spirit behind them is saying something entirely different. That's not just a gift, that's protection. That's evidence that something higher is standing watch over her. This discernment is a compass she didn't always have. She earned it through pain, betrayal, and experience. Life taught her not to ignore the gut feelings, the unease, the quiet warnings. And now she doesn't doubt it. She trusts it fully, because every time she ignored it in the past, it cost her peace. It cost her time. It cost her growth. But now she listens the first time. Now she knows when to walk away. She knows when someone isn't aligned with her purpose, even if they sound perfect. She knows when someone is sent to distract her, delay her, or drain her. You can't lie to a woman covered by angels. She may not call you out. She may not say a word, but she sees you. She reads the energy before you open your mouth. She senses tension before it reaches the surface. That's why so many people misunderstand her silence. They think she's passive. They think she's too quiet. But really, she's listening beyond the words. She's watching beyond the performance. And when it doesn't feel right, she doesn't argue. She disconnects. Because peace is more important than popularity. Purpose is more important than pleasing others. And when angels are near, she has no desire to entertain what's not sent by God. Her discernment gives her power, not power to control people, but the power to protect herself, to guard her mind, to shield her heart. She can walk into a room and feel if something is off. She doesn't need anyone to validate it. She doesn't need a reason. She knows. And when you're chosen, you don't need to force doors open. You don't need to chase friendships. If someone doesn't align with your spirit, you let them go in peace. That's what she's learned, and that's how she stays safe, not just physically, but spiritually. There's a reason some people couldn't stay in her life. It wasn't a falling out, it wasn't drama, it was discernment. It was the quiet knowing that said, this doesn't belong here. And she obeyed it, even when it hurt, even when she didn't have the full picture. Because discernment doesn't always come with details. It just comes with direction. And she's learned that peace follows obedience. Every time she chose to let go of what didn't feel right, peace came in. Every time she trusted the pull to distance herself, growth followed. That's how she knows the angels are real, because they guide her through feelings, not facts. She doesn't just use discernment for people, she uses it for decisions. She doesn't rush. She doesn't jump at every opportunity. She feels things out. She prays. She waits. And if it doesn't sit right in her spirit, she lets it pass. People think she's being too cautious, but she knows better. She knows that just because something looks good doesn't mean it's right. Just because someone seems successful doesn't mean they're safe. She's not moved by flash. She's moved by peace. And that peace comes from angels who whisper, not this one. Or, wait a little longer. When you're protected like that, you begin to live in alignment. You begin to see how every no saved you, how every door that closed was divine redirection. She doesn't beg for closure anymore. She doesn't chase explanations. Her discernment is enough. She knows that the wrong connections can slow her purpose. The wrong voices can cloud her clarity. So she chooses solitude over confusion. She chooses silence over noise, because in that silence, her guidance gets clearer. In that stillness, the angels speak louder. People think she's distant, but she's just discerning. They wonder why she doesn't respond the same way others do. It's because she's tuned in to something greater. She doesn't react, she responds. She doesn't explode. She evaluates, and when her spirit says no, it means no. That boundary is not negotiable, because she knows that once you've opened the door to wrong energy, it takes a long time to cleanse your space again. She's not willing to gamble with her peace. She's not willing to test what she knows is truth. She may not have always been this way, but pain refined her, loss taught her, prayer shaped her. And now her discernment is her strongest shield. It helps her protect her children, her space, her time. It helps her stay in alignment with her calling, and it keeps her safe from traps dressed up like blessings. That's the power of angels standing guard. They don't just fight battles. They give insight. They give wisdom. They light the path so she can see what others miss. That's why she can smile without fear. That's why she can walk away without guilt. That's why she can say no without explaining. Her discernment is not arrogance, it's obedience. It's how she honors the divine presence that surrounds her. It's how she keeps her house in order. And when you carry that kind of spiritual clarity, you don't need to be loud. You just need to be still. The angels are doing the rest. So if you've ever questioned your strength, if you've ever wondered why things fall apart for others but hold steady for you, know this: you are not unprotected. You are watched over. And not just by eyes on earth, but by warriors from heaven. You're not just a woman living in a house. You're a chosen woman dwelling in sanctuary. And heaven has marked your home as off limits to harm.